This is a recording made by Cyril speaking to Uncle Rubin and Aunt Chaya in the background at their flat on the 16th of March 1988. It's been recorded, a copy has been recorded for Nili and Avi and Rachel and Yossi and their families with my love after Uncle Reuben passed away. The noise in the background that comes on and off every now and again and sounds like a sharp sound is unfortunately the delay mechanism that was part of the tape part of the tape recorder, so that the sound during long silences doesn't extend the tape, and unfortunately it comes out as repeated disturbing little noises every now and again. Please understand that. Lots of love, Cyril.
Was a student in the Lithuanian University. And my brothers were engineers and contractors. So as a student, my mother used to say to me, you have to be here because here you have your brothers and they can support you in your learning and in your career afterwards. And you have not to rush to go to Israel or another country, because there you will be alone and no support from family. But I persuaded my mother, telling her that Lithuania is a little country and it lives between Russia for one side and Germany on the other side. And those two countries are to swallow Lithuania at the time. They're both. I am at the age that in 1 year I have to go to the army. And to go to the army, I can hope that I will be free. But it is not sure 100%. So I want to go to Israel. But according to the law of Lithuania, a person who must stand before the army within a year can't leave Europe. He can travel through Europe, but not above the borders of Europe. My luck, I had a friend who told me that in Switzerland there is a friend who is a good friend of the English consulate. If I get a visa to Israel, the English consulate in Basel, Switzerland, will arrange me a entry.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I'll have it black, please.
Black?
Not because I'm kosher, but because I prefer it without milk. Thank you.
And that's kefir?
Yes, that would be fine. Thank you.
So if I'm coming to Basel, there lives his friend who knows the English consulate there. He can arrange me to go to Israel, even I have no Lithuanian passport, or my passport, a permission to leave Europe. So I went to Basel, and from Basel I sent my papers to the Technion, to IFA, to get a certificate to come to Israel. So I studied in Basel. I was then young, and one day I went through a building, and the acquaintance told me, "You see this building? That is the building where the Congress, the first Congress, and all other Congress, Zionist Congresses, were assembled. You want to come in and to see it, because it is close, but we can arrange it." I was Zionist and was very much acquainted with the history and so on and so on. And I don't know, I had no ambition to see. The building was so made no impressions. It was a quite two-story building. So I said, doesn't matter. I will not see. Now, and pity, why couldn't I see this hall where Herzl and all people had together the great discussions that I'm now when I'm going to abroad, the only thing that I'm interested is to see history. In London, it was the Tower of London and the Westminster, and all the museum and so on, all history. Building in Cannes, they are more beautiful than in London. And other cities, I was in Ankara, it doesn't make any expression. Broad streets, straight, but it is buildings.
Yeah.
And buildings I have to see, it can stay in Istanbul and it can stay in
Sugar, please.
But when I was in Istanbul, I wanted to see where they lived the Sultan and where the hall where he received the health and spoke. That was interesting me. All the historic places. Now I pity why then I was not interested to see the.
Well, now you understand why
Once the train station to another place. So I went to Unter den Linden and saw the Brandenburg gate.
No, I'm happy wherever. Thank you. So you came out
And
in
it was-
1935. When did Bella come? Bella already
Bella
was here
came-
before.
No, I was the first.
You were the first.
I was the first.
So Bella came.
Bella came about a half year later. She came as a tourist, and Professor Abraham Halperin, you know him,
Yes.
married her. It was a fiction.
Really?
A fiction.
I didn't know that. In
She-
order to
she
allow
wa-
her to stay.
In order she remained in Israel. So he married her on a fiction.
And then he divorced her.
It was made by the rabbinate, it was made the divorce in advance.
So she got divorced before she got married.
Yes. She got a divorce before.
And the Jewish religion allows that.
There was a question of immigration it was allowed by the rabbinate, of course. He was an Orthodox, he's an Orthodox.
And what about Nyoma? When did he come?
Nyoma came in 39.
39. So
Yeah,
late.
he came after the war broke out
How did he get out?
with the last train. The last
Where
train.
was he when the war broke out?
The whole story, it will be better when you hear it from Nyoma himself. But he came here in May in 39. It was the war that Russia occupied Poland. And when he traveled, something was closed. Some ways were closed. It was the last train before Europe was cut off. In 39,
What town did you live in as a child when you were a child? The mama spoke
I was
Ponjevic.
born.
Ponjevic?
No,
No.
no. It is so. I was born in Vitebsk, in Russia. And all the children were born, except Shimon. Shimon was the eldest. He was born in Anuch, in Lithuania. It's a town near Ponjevic, from where the parents, or father, the father of my father, they lived in Anuch, in Lithuania. Father, after marrying, mother lived some years in Anuch. And then they left and went to Vitebsk. Mother was a good merchant too, but not only merchant, more in mechanics, in industry. In how do we call it? Waving stockings and knitting, but fabrication.
Weaving, knitting,
knitting, waving, making threads from cotton, all the machinery, all that. Father had good hands to it. He liked the machinery. He himself repairs. When he had to make a repair in a machine, he made it by himself. Well, when I was a little boy, I remember only that we lived in a 3-storied house. It belongs to father. Russia was a great market, a great nation, a great land with many peoples. And as I imagine, mother had a shop of not clothes, but of the material of clothes. How would you say?
materials.
No. Badim. It is. How you call it? That not before you make it.
Yarn.
To buy the stuff, and then you go to the tailor on his
Material.
material.
Material. Yes.
You are going to buy material for a suit.
Yes.
For a suit.
Yes.
It is you say material.
Yeah. Clothing material. There may be also another word, but that's yes.
So she had a shop, a great shop, as a child, I remember. It was a 3-story building, a great building, belongs to our father. and he was a rich man.
No, thank you. That was absolutely scrumptious. Beautiful. You made it yourself? It's lovely.
I bought it.
Good. Well, then you know where to buy it. It's beautiful.
When I was born, they were there about 10 years in Vitebsk, because Rachel was born, my sister Rachel was born in Vitebsk.
Was it a big town, a small town?
It is a quite great town. It's a big town. It is not as big as, it is the capital of the White Russia province. Vitebsk Chagall is from Vitebsk. You know painter Chagall. He's from Vitebsk. At that time there was not asphalt streets. There was a train, that was not a train, electrical
Tram?
electrical train. I saw in Rome. It was in Vitebsk. It seems for a little town will not have a train. But not very big. I imagine some 200,000, 300,000.
That's quite a big city.
A big city.
And was the Jewish community very much confined to a certain area or spread around the city?
I think it was when I left Vitebsk, I was 6 years old.
Right.
6 years old, we left Vitebsk. It was in 18 after the outbreak of the Bolshevik Revolution. Father was a capitalist, taken to trial by the Bolsheviks. Mother told us that before he went, it was 99% sentenced to death.
Why?
All the capitalists, all the fabricants. So he take part for all. She said he liked Bella more than all the children, because all the children he would take nothing you could see on him. But when he take Bella, she said there was a tear inside. And father went to the trial, and one of his neighbors defended him.
Someone he employed.
Defended him, and said that Schneider was not exploiting the workers. And thanks him, he was released. But after the war, there was a treaty that all the Jews at the wartime, the first wartime, all the Jews on the border from Lithuania, between Lithuania and Germany, were expelled inside Russia, not to be on the Jews, because they said Jews are spies.
This was already in around the 1920 period, or
I said in 18.
18.
In 18.
1918.
In 18, they allowed all the Jews that were expelled to come back to Lithuania. Father and mother were citizens of Vitebsk. But the little children, we had an aunt without children, an uncle and an aunt without children, and they were expelled from there. So they write down the little children, Pinchas, Nyoman, I, Bella, Miriam. written on the name of this aunt without his children, and were sent to Ponyevish as the refugees to come back to Lithuania. So
What sort of ages were you at the time?
I was about 5 years, 6 years. 5, 6 years.
So that the oldest was Simon. How old was he?
Rachel, and Shimon were his father and mother are still in Russia.
Uh-huh.
Only the youngest
I see.
are here, and they're in Polish. Mother had a sister, a little, with a
A hunchback.
Ma?
A hunchback?
Yes.
Yes.
You saw her picture,
I think.
Princess.
Yes. I didn't know who she was, but I have seen the picture.
She was an awesome, excellent person. And she received us. She was with us till the parents in 1920, 21 or 22. They came back. They came back from Russia.
A baby,
Who was the baby?
Miriam.
Miriam was a baby in a how do I don't know where the Russians are making their for bread the
The kneading box.
yes.
Yes.
Anything. And that was her cradle.
You saw Miriam in Jerusalem now?
Not yet. I will see her tomorrow.
So we came to Ponyevish only in the 20 or 21 came father and the mother from Russia together with Rachel and Shimon. They had to come.
Only Rachel and Simon. The others were all with your aunt.
Yes. They, Rachel was the right hand. She managed the escape of the parents. They went by train and was asked to give them passports. So if they have given their passports, they wouldn't let to go over the border. But Rachel took out money, gave them money. She had the courage.
How old was she?
Yes, she was then nearly 17. She was 17, if I was.
She was a very beautiful woman.
You have the picture. She is. I think 17 she was, maybe 16, 16. About 17 she was in Ponyevish, I remember. But approximately I was 6, she 8 years, oh, she was 15. I was 15, not more. So I told you that we came to Ponyevish only on the 20th year they came the parents. The parents went over to Kovno. Their father began to build a dyeing factory, dyeing of
material.
Of material. Dyeing of material. He brought from Germany and all the paints and the mother was in the shop. Father was began against to make this tricotage fabrication. And that is how we were in Lithuania. Yeah, little by little, father, in 35, when I left them, the economic situation was not excellent, but not bad. Russia, we were rich. There we were not excellent, but mother told me, I don't promise you that we will be able to support. But afterwards I heard that they made good business. And they sent me money, and I continued to study.
When you were in Israel?
I was in Israel.
Palestine, of course, in those days.
In that time, Palestine. Bella before that.
Is Bella studied in France? Miriam studied in France too, didn't she?
In
Israel. I thought
only in
Miriam-
Jerusalem.
I thought that
Miriam only in Jerusalem. Bella studied in France. When we were in Lithuania, she was sent to France, to Paris, and she studied there engineering in Paris for 3 years. She stayed with
That sounds very.
Rachel.
It was a very unlikely thing.
What?
It was an unlikely thing for a family to do in those days, was it not? To send a woman, which is usually the man went to university, not the woman, not the daughters.
The daughter, yes, her father was against it. He said if a woman shouldn't learn in university there, but mother, she wanted it, and there lived in Paris, there lived Rachel, you know, Rachel Kahneman.
Rini stayed with Rachel
With Rachel Kahneman. And Bella,
met her.
yes, and Bella stayed in Paris with Rachel Kahneman.
So
Where she studied.
how did Rachel Kahneman know my mother? Because she spoke of knowing my mother.
Rachel Kahneman and your mother are cousins, and they were both in Ponivesh, and they were friends.
They made
And they were contemporaries.
It is a difference maybe from of 1 or 1.5 years.
So what year was my mother born in? I'm trying to think. She was 43 when she died in 1940.
It should be
7.
She should be.
So she must have been born 1904.
1904.
Do you remember her birthday? I don't know it.
Her birthday not. You know, in Lithuania there was no birthdays.
really
Only bar mitzvah.
I'm interested in that because Bella also said she didn't know last year whether she's 75 or 76. She wasn't sure.
But Yoma told that she
She's
is
70.
75 and Rubin is 17.
No,
I
she's 70.
told you.
She's 77. She's not 77.
Bella says she doesn't know which she is.
And Rubin is 17. But
Yoma
Yoma
knows.
said that he's sure that Bella was 75, then Rubin was 73. 2 years. difference.
Yoma is born, is his birthday.
He knows better. Why?
It's in 1 month.
Someone tells I'm younger. I catch.
After
My grandmother did that too.
After
I'm sure
Pesach.
she said, my grandmother, my father's mother, I'm sure she was much older than she said she was when she died because the arithmetic didn't add up when you worked it out. I think she thought that God wouldn't let her die if he didn't know quite how old she was.
But he's, you say so. But I agree with you. Why not?
Yoma said that he is born in 99.
No, I believe him.
99, He will be in 1 month,
Oh, leave it.
89, 79.
89. 79, sorry.
79. He said,
What if he was born in 99?
Ken,
I'm sorry, then it's 89. 1899. It's now 1980. If he was born in 1899, then it's 1988 now, so he'll be 89 this year.
70.
So it couldn't have been 1999. Oh, no. No.
oh, 9.
Oh, 9. That's more like it. That's.
In 1909.
Oh, I thought you said 99. I'm sorry.
1909. You will be
79.
79.
Parents came to Kovno when?
The parents came to Kovno in approximately in 23, 23, 24. I, Miriam, and Bella stayed with the Aunt Sprinzer. She was lonely, and the mother wanted to. She could feel herself as having a home, and she had a little shopping in Ponieważ. I learned in the gymnasium, Bella too. And
The gymnasium is what, a high school?
the gymnasium is a high school. It is also a preliminary school. There was
What do you mean preliminary school? Oh, primary school.
Primary.
I see. Right.
primary school. It was 8 classes and 2 under degrees for the little children. When you are 6, you are coming to the first degree, then the second degree, and then the first class, and then 8th class. After you had finished, I graduated all the 8 classes, you are fit to come to the university. So it is high school or?
Yeah, it's primary and high school.
It is primary and high schools together. So I learned in Kovno till the 5th class. The 5th class I came to Kovno. The Aunt Sprinzer was ill. She passed away in 31. 31, so it is Kevin's
Birthday.
his first. Miriam and Bella left. I left Ponieważ at 29. And I think that Miriam at 30. She remained 1 year more with the aunt. Then we learned in Kovno. Kovno, we graduated there.
Can I just ask you, Ponieważ, is that a small town?
Yes,
Very small?
It is also, everything is related. Related to the, relative to the country of, it is, Ponieważ is the 3rd town in Lithuania, in the Little Lithuania. The greatest town was, the capital was Kovno. They claimed first that Vilna, but Vilna Poland took away. Oh, the capital was Kovno. The second town was showered. The third town was Poniewiesz. Little, not great, it was less than 100,000. It's not a...
It wasn't a small village, it was then a town.
It was a town. It was a town. You can... The students in Poniewiesz could say they are not from the province. They are from the town. There was cinemas, and there was in the villages there were not cinemas. And there was a gymnasium, a very fine gymnasium. The Jewish population was there about 70%.
70%.
70%.
So that was predominantly Jewish town.
Yes, yes. In Kovno, even in Kovno, it was closed on Shabbat more than in Tel Aviv. Shabbat was closed. You couldn't find the shop open.
And then you work 5 days? Or?
5 days, but the shops are open half a day on Saturday. So our weekend is Saturday and Sunday.
So in 29, I came to the 5th class in Kovno. Really, in Poniewiesz, I hadn't begun to study, to learn in the gymnasium. First, according to the wishes of the parents, I learned more Talmud. Learned also in the yeshiva. I rebelled. I didn't want it. So that I even 1 or 2 years I hadn't learned at all. I didn't want to learn in the yeshiva. It doesn't interest me.
Why did you go to the yeshiva? Your parents wanted you to.
Father wanted all the children learned in the gymnasium. At the beginning, the aunt Sprinz let me to learn to the best rabbi in Poniewiesz. And I learned there with the son of the Poniewiesz Rav. Here it is the most famous Rav. And then they wanted me to learn in the yeshiva. But I wasn't, it was for me a bore to learn in the yeshiva. So my brother Pinchas came and he prepared me to enter the gymnasium in Poniewiesz. And also I was good in Hebrew because I knew Talmud, but in writing I was very, very bad. Spelling, I was very bad. And I began in 26, I think, in gymnasium. In 29, in Poniewiesz, my sister Rachel took me to the gymnasium where my old brothers learned and finished. It was a Schwab gymnasium. In Kovno.
Schwab, did you say?
It was a very good gymnasium. Timo was, the elder brother, was a time that he was a teacher of English from several years.
Zina.
I beg your pardon, Zina?
Zina.
I've not met her. I will, I hope to meet her when I'm here this time.
Is it also?
I believe so.
So in Kovno, I finished the gymnasium and entered the university. there in the university, it is amazing. The people of the Lithuanian people, they had no nation because all their history, they were under the Russians. The Russians didn't allow them to have newspapers in their language, Lithuanian. Only after the first war, they got their independence. They began to reculture their language and began to use it more. For them, there was the language more to renew it as Hebrew from 2,000 years ago. They had no great literature. And the people were not anti-Semitic. They were proud. A Jew was for them a cultured man. And they went to be, instead of shoes, they had wooden shoes. They called them the klumpes.
In Holland called clogs.
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 Yeah, clogs. They were peasants, good-hearted, and the Jews themselves called themselves Jewish gymnasium, not Hebrew gymnasium. The Jews said, we are Jews, not Hebrews. In the university, when I entered the university, I saw that they are they hate so the Jews. Their eyes are burning. And because 50% of the students, more than 50% were Jews. And the Jews in Lithuania were only 10%. So the educated Lithuania hated the Jews. People didn't hate it. We didn't know it was proud to be a Jew in Lithuania before the war. Because the Lithuanian put himself lower than the educated Jew. So I told mother, I can't sit near that guy. His eyes are burning on me. He can't see me. And in the university, you could see the anti-Semitism afterwards. They were the greatest, they were worse than the Nazis. The Lithuanians and the Latvians and the Ukrainians. The Lithuanians were not less than the others. And we knew the Lithuanian people as good people. When you ask them where is to go to Canada, it is thank you that you have honored them to ask them. Such people as such.
The passing of time, I presume that a bigger proportion of Lithuanian people became educated. Did that mean that there was also an increased number of anti-Semites too?
Of course. Common people, maybe that it's not right for others. Maybe that for other nations it was not the same as in for Lithuania, because the Lithuanians were themselves depressed.
Coffee?
The problem you have with
No problem.
I would love some. Thank you.
Without milk?
Yes, please. The same. It was beautiful. Thank you.
The Russian peasant was also not educated. He was uneducated. He couldn't read, couldn't write. The little peasant, he was less than the Russians. So when he saw a man can write, can read, and he's educated, and He dressed himself well. So he had the respect for him, for the Jew. It happens for me once I came in a coffee, even a captain in his army. He was a little drunk.
He was?
Drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, drunk. And I entered, it was Barpel's cabaret. So I came in and he was a little drunk. He embraced me and kissed. He was lovely. There was no difference. A Jew was not ashamed to be a Jew. It was as in Germany or in France or there. It was proud.
So what made you leave to go to Israel then?
Me, I said, Mother, maybe I see the eyes above, the educated, the national Lithuania was anti-Semitic. You could murder every Jew.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brian.
For Jews in Lithuania. I told her, I shall try in Israel. And I was educated in the Hebrew gymnasium. When I learned all the time, it was Bialik and Chelyabinsk and Israel and so on and so on. My education was all based on Israel.
What happened to your parents in 35? Have you ever reconstructed afterwards what they did and where they lived? And what happened?
My parents, they were dreamers. And they dreamed also about Israel. But mother was good-hearted. She was a very clever woman. But she less cared about herself, and her all care was the children. She used to say, now Rubin is going to finish, Miriam is going to finish the gymnasium, I finish the gymnasium. All the children finish the gymnasium. Now I have to finish the university. She was busy to raise up the children. She said, after you are all arranged, I and father, we are going to.
But tell this word she said you, that money she has not much, but she wants to give the children.
Yes. She said, money I had much. And they took it away from us in the revolution. Now I am giving you a thing that nobody can take away from you. That is the education. Learn to learn to be educated. That is nobody can take away from you. And she all the time, Israel, yes, Israel, she had her mother. Was in Jerusalem. My mother's mother was in Jerusalem. That you know? When I came in Jerusalem, I found here my mother's mother in Jerusalem.
Your grandmother?
My what?
Your grandmother?
My grandmother. From my mother. Mother of my mother. And she said to me, I told her, grandmother, Mama, she write me, she's 1 year or 2 years, she's coming to Israel to see you. Why she said to me, if your papa will write me that, it will be good for me. Because your mother is writing what she wants, but not what she is going to get. What she is dreaming, but not what she is. If Papa is saying a word, I know that will be, because he will do it too. So I found here an extraordinary.
Was that your mother's mother or your father's mother?
That was here my mother's mother.
Right.
My father's father is here nearby, buried on Troubadour. Came here in 1923. And died in 29.
I heard in Australia a speech from a Jewish chap that I knew about Israel. He said that in the last century, people used to come here to die. In this century, they come to live.
Many of them, yes.
So have you ever, is it painful to reconstruct what happened afterwards, where they lived, and did you ever hear exactly what happened afterwards and where they were? And I know that they were killed in the concentration camp, but did you ever know which camp and where, or don't you know?
No. No.
If it's too painful to talk, then don't tell me, but I would like to know if you can.
Can tell you. You have evidence. You have evidence. We shall say not to other humanic rules were given before that a man, Hammurabi, he was great, but he said if the son of the builder, if the son of the owner of the house was killed by falling, the building had fallen, so the son of the builder should be killed. That was his attitude to rightness. And the Moses said, the man who was guilty, he shall bear his sin. So a man must know his origin, and know his what his culture was, and that is he must be proud of it. He must know it. And I can't understand how we read the Quran. I can't be religious after thinking that thousands of men, of millions, men, about 1,000 million men, believe in it. And all what is written there are foolishness. Because it wrote a man who didn't know to read. He begins there and he's saying of the saint of Noah and the saint of Lot. And in the Bible, they are both related with drinking to be drunk. Noah was drunk and his sons were punished because they hadn't covered him. And he laid naked. You remember the story?
I don't know the story.
The story is after there was a flood and Noah landed. He planted a wine garden. And when he drank the wine, he was drunk and fell asleep naked. So Shem and Yefet said, you shall take the clothes and cover the brother. But Ham said he doesn't want. If he's drunk, she would lay naked as he is. So he cursed Ham, you will be a slave by brothers. So it's written in the Bible. So Noah is written in the Bible was a man who, the first man who became drunk. Lot was also drunk. You know the story of Lot. When they ran away from stone, the daughters of the thought that they remained the last men in the world. You know the story. Yes. He was also drunk. So he took them both of the greatest sign, the greatest holy man in the world. The man who, if you will do what they have began, go in their ways, you will have the repayment that God gives them. He saved them, he will save you too. And so it's the level of the whole. I imagine that afterwards there come more philosophy, more educated men. And as we have the Talmud, there is a Talmud to the Quran, something more reasonable words, something more. Otherwise, I can't believe that such a bullshit can be by thousands. But his story is one of a man must have some background and some future. And that's life. What is life? Only what I'm doing today. Today it will be tomorrow. So it's in my opinion.
So you think knowing about the history is, of course it's important.
It is important. It makes your life richer. If you know your history, life of where, what. If you want to know science, you would want to know who was the first who made it, how it was developed, how it was became more scientific, how painting develops, how music develops, everything has his history. And a man without history is a man without a part of life. So it has nothing to do with history or education.
Where are you on the Seder here?
I will probably be, Bella invited me to go there, but I will probably be with Rini and Ilan. But I'm waiting for Ilan to come back because he's going to be singing through the shul. At the shul, there's some Seder on at the shul. And Rubin, if I asked you a question, but I don't know if it's too difficult for you to answer or whether...
Well, I can answer you, as I know. We have evidence of the faith of Father. And other Pichas, the Germans occupied Kovno. It was about in June. I have here also the study of the rebel, of the ghetto, of the Jews in occupation of the Nazis. They occupied about in May, June, occupied Lithuania.
May or June, which year was that?
41.
Right.
Before it was under the Russians. They have divided Poland and Lithuania. And it was the Russians. 41, they came in and took to Russia to go on the war against Germany, against Russia. Then they came to, within 3 days they came to Korea. And some days afterwards, a few days, they begged all educated men. He was the most distinguished people in the town. Said they need them for administration works. Asked them to come to the center of the town. It is,
This is the German authorities or the army?
that was more the Lithuanian.
Actually, the Lithuanian did.
It was the German, but the work they left to the Lithuanians. And between them, there came all the educated, the most distinguished people of the town. And they said they are taking them, they have administration work for them. Took them father and Pinchas. And they took them all to a fortress, number 9, Napoleon. And he went against Russia. The Russians made, his way was through Lithuania, and the Russians built their fortresses around the town of Kovno. One of the fortresses was number 9. They had taken hold of there. So they held them for 2 days, and he compelled them to remain there and to sleep on the earth. There was this Pinchas, and on the second day, they were surrounded with machine guns, and the order was that nobody should stand up. Father at last decided, he stood up and he began to go against the machine guns. Killed him. Then they ordered to bury him. What? They buried him, and Pinchas said the Kaddish. And on tomorrow, they killed all the people. And we know it. The news came to Nyoman, because among these old men, the old men there was in the fortress, was one Jew who was a pilot, who had had many friends of the high society of the Lithuanian. And the Lithuanians came out afterwards.
Took who out? This man?
Blumenthal.
Oh, this man, the pilot that you're talking about.
Who told us about the father. And he then was transferred to Switzerland, in Schweiz. And
Why did they let him out? I don't understand.
He was very. He was a friend of the high society of the Lithuanians.
And who was it that actually used the machine guns? The Lithuanians?
The Lithuanians.
So it wasn't the Germans, it was the Lithuanians acting under the German direction.
Yeah, under the directions of the Germans.
The sound of it quite willingly.
What?
Quite willingly by the sound of it. They were quite happy to do that. Or is that not so?
Yes. They were very happy. And when afterwards, they were the most brutal killers.
So were they from the Lithuanian intelligentsia? I mean, were they from the...
You see afterwards, the intelligentsia, it's them easy to take over, to bring them to the time that you see that the Jews are ruling Lithuania more than the Lithuanians. It was all Jews.
And what happened to your mother after that?
Mother lived in the ghetto. Early 44.
She was aware at the time of what had happened to Pinchas and your father.
Yes, all the time. She lived together. We had relatives there, cousins of her. Железняк lived afterwards in the came nearby to Tamatgan. She was with them, but at the last, in the actions of children and old women, there was actions take out.
This was in 1944.
It was in 1944. Story.
What book is that?
Encyclopedia.
No. That is the story of the ghetto of what happened to it. Is Kovno, the Neman River, the Uga, is Slapotka. Here was the ghetto, and there was to the ninth fort, with the fortress. Here are fortresses, and there was the fortress. Now it is, when it was the action, in 1 minute. I want to find here the oh. What to find the actions. There was a table.
Does this in some way kind of show what happened to...
They came in Kovno, they entered, the Nazis entered the 25th of the 6th June, 41.
25th of June, 41 years.
41. They came to Kovno. Action. For March 44.
March 1944, yeah.
The children and the elders.
What happened then? What did they do?
When it was the mother, they want to hide mother, to hide her, but she said she doesn't want to be hidden. She wants to go to laser. And she went out, and she was caught by the Germans. And they.
When you say to Liza was your
Liza
father?
was their father. Well, she lived very hard years in the ghetto. Father was a few days. Other is
41.
41, bei Tammuz. Der 12. Tammuz. It is a month, July, and the Germans came in June. The action was in July. 1 month.
I'm 44.
Mother met, yes, Ada, the daughter of Ada, and we the Remembrance Day on the 3rd of the Adar.
When did you hear, or how did you hear about it?
About mother from the relatives.
Who survived?
They survived.
Just a few.
She said she slept with mother in one bed the years, the last years. They were cousins. One was also a Russian. He came from Lithuania, and she said she was with mother till she went out, left the flat.
Mrs. Barzilai?
Barzilai, Rahla Barzilai.
Was she then taken away with
Yes,
her
yeah.
children, or
She knows only that she left the flat.
with the children?
She left the flat. It was obligations. They asked all old women and children to leave the flats. She lived in the flat. More she doesn't.
Rubin, can I ask you now to get onto another thing? I'm interested to know how you met your wife.
Hiya.
When?
When?
When and how? Are you allowed to tell?
All right. I will tell you. I will tell you.
If it's, don't tell me the secret parts, but just the official part.
Yeah. Not, you know Ari and Sarah Birman.
My
no,
brother,
no.
no.
Her brother.
I don't know.
I know.
And sister-in-law.
I came to learn in the Technion. At that time, to rent a room in Haifa, it was very expensive. And then I lived on 5 sterling a month.
5 pounds.
5 sterlings. Then it was sterlings. With payments in Technion and so on, it is 6 pounds. And that is about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds is 11. And a room costed there to rent a room a month, it was 2.5 to 3 pounds.
So, what did you do with the 2 pounds to spare?
So for 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds with a lot of money. So you have to have a neighbor, to rent a room, two students a room. And there, so I had a companion all the time. I came to Israel, my best comrade, who told me about how I came to you, who I told you before, that he knows, learned in Basel and so on. So he said he is coming to Haifa. I lived in a very expensive room, and he said he's coming to Haifa. I left this room and looked after another room for him and for me. Story, not to tell you that. I looked for a room and I found a room.
And my brothers.
Her brother was had a flat of 3 rooms.
3 rooms, it was.
It was too much. It was a great room. It was a great flat for them. It was a parterre. So one room I took for £2.50, and I waited for my aunt. And I was disappointed. My friend wrote me, he's not coming to Haifa, and we must he returned to Lithuania and perished.
So he died.
I have no, he's not alive, I'm not sure of it. And I looked for another companion. No, and then it was the revolt, the Arabs against the Jews. There was in 36, began the great revolt of the Arabs against the English, the Jew. And got, I'm telling you. So I lived with her sister-in-law and brother.
And there in
And there she came up. There lived also a sister. She had a boyfriend. And then he came from Tel Aviv in Haifa, and we met. Till began our acquaintance.
And how long after did you get married?
About 5 years.
What took you so long?
I began then to study. It was, I studied about 4 years. 5 years. 3 years.
At
And
that
then-
time I went out with other boys and he with other girls, but we knew 5 years.
After 5 years, decided to marry.
It's time.
It was time. But you must have been sure after 5 years. Where did you get married? In Tel Aviv?
We get married in Tel Aviv. There was
So that was 1940?
41.
41. 41, of course. 36 plus 5 is 41. I was 6 years old when I was 6.
December 41. In December 41. And the end of the 41. It was a hotel in...
And Bella was married at that time already to Arthur or not yet?
very... before.
I don't know, my memory says maybe from 1938 they were in Carlisle Street or... No, it was 38 Carlisle Street, that's what I'm thinking about.
Saturday. There,
Some years.
Bella was married
Very
3 years before.
Yes, 38, yeah, well, maybe 38. Did you correspond with your parents at all? Were you able to get any letters through that difficult period after you were married? They wouldn't have known that you got married at the time.
No.
Kaya, you would have had family there also, or not? Did you? Did you have family left behind also, or
My family
they all? So when did they come out?
is brothers and sisters, but I left long to
And your parents also?
My parents, no. My father was killed in Russia.
If you know what Petlura is.
A which?
Petlura, you heard of him? The Kazakh of the Ukraine.
No.
Was a rebel against the
Bolsheviks, yeah. Didn't
It-
you? Bolsheviks.
Yeah, sure.
Bolsheviks, but that is not the Bolsheviks. It is Petlura. Petlura was it was more Ukrainian ataman who was against all the capitalists and the Jews.
So it wasn't a Jewish thing, or was it?
It was mostly Jewish.
I see. He was against capitalists and Jews. Or was it synonymous at the time?
It was against Jews, more or less. Petlura after.
So when was that? What period was that?
That
Roughly.
Roughly, it was in 1990. Was murdered in 1990.
To come to something else, I seem to recall that Nyoma told me a story that somebody bribed, someone in the family maybe, bribed a German officer or somebody to try and get Pinchas out when he was in that group, and that his name was called, but that he didn't answer to his name or something like that. Did you about that, or maybe I misunderstood the story? I'll ask Nyoma.
I don't know.
I'll ask Nyoma.
I know.
Thought he'd said something like that.
Maybe.
This was already last year.
I haven't heard about it. But this man that I told you, the Blumenthal,
Yes.
who told us about father, he was called out. This was also called out, bribed and called out.
But he didn't answer his name because many people who were called out were taken away to be shot. And so he didn't answer to his name at the time. This is what I was told, or that's how I understood it. So I will ask Nyoma and I will tell you what he said.
Nyoma knows better.
We'll ask because he has...
Because what I am telling you, it is also through Nyoma. And if Nyoma tells, it is more reliable. Our father, he heard it from Nyoma.
So you've not regretted coming to Israel? Huh?
Yes.
You must have had some difficult times then.
Here I had difficult times. You know that Nyoma and Pinchas were here in Israel a year before.
And they both went back?
They went back. In 38.
And what did they come here for?
They came here to bring some money and to look for settlement. But when they came here, here was a very terrible time. And they asked me, how can you live so? Because from Haifa to Tel Aviv, from Tel Aviv to Haifa, they had to come with a plane, because the roads were by the Arabs closed. It was dangerous to near Haifa, all by the mountain. You couldn't pass a Jewish car. It was shooting. I also...
That's in 38.
38, they were in both, they were in Haifa, and Pinchas and Pnina. Pnina, you saw here. They took me for a trip. I was then studying to end the exams in Technion, and Pinchas come up to a friend, and they took me out with an auto, and we make a tour on the Mount Carmel with auto. Okay. And then they came back to Lithuania. And Pinchas remained in Nyoma with the last train.
And what made Nyoma come at that time? He realized what was happening, I presume. And Pinchas didn't realize at the time.
He realized. He realized he was a year, but Nyoma, the parents of Riva lived on the second floor of their flat, in the same house. And Nyoma closed the flat, got nothing, as he went to work and brought the case to the parents and said them goodbye and their parents.
Reva's parents.
Riva's parents. And they gave the case and they closed their house and they went.
And how come he saw that and Pinchas didn't see that?
He had a partner in his business, and all the business he left to the partner to finish. He was a much greater business than Jan. He was involved in constructions, and he couldn't close and run away.
He could, but he didn't want to. Or he felt he couldn't. I mean, if he would have known the result, he would have just left it and run, I'm sure.
And on the other hand, Shimon left everything and went to the train and he ran away to Russia. Shimon rescued himself, Gezina, in Russia. Pinchas not. Father, all the time, what will be with Kol Israel will be with the Rebbe Israel.
What will be with?
What will be with all the Jews will be with him. Kol Israel, it is all Israel. And the Rebbe Israel, you say Reb Shimon, Reb Leizer, Reb, what will be with Kol Israel, with the Rebbe Israel. Said he will not run away. It was not twice, but that was the way.
But Pinchas, he had to finish the business.
Father in this way was very philosophical and very
And he didn't want to just lock up and get away from it.
Lock out, I didn't say lock out, but to go to the train and to run away to Russia afterwards. Do what Shimon did. Shimon left everything. He was partner with father. He took Zina and went to Tashkent. Tashkent is near Iraq, near Iran. And they ran away. And then he was, Shimon was also very much close to socialist, communist ideas. He was more liberal. And they wanted to give him even a cathedra in the university in Russia. But he wasn't, no, he was the lecturer and he was the private lessons. He was lecturer, but the professor, as a professor in university, because he was a member, he took him in the party. Pinchas was more trying to the parents.
He had a little baby, Shalomit born, of course.
He was very good, very good heart. Bella, they were good. He sent the money for Bella to learn in Paris. No, he didn't send. Father, Yoma, and Pinchas, as being students, being even in the learning in the gymnasium, they gave private classes. They had accounts in my father. And father had an account for my son Benjamin and my son Pinchas. So when they decided, it was decided Bella wanted to learn in France, in Paris. Father was against. Mother said, "You, brothers, you will take part in the expenditures."
She told him or asked him?
Yeah, asked them, told them, asked. He was okay. He was against. He was a little against. I think he gave, but not willingly. Pinchas willingly. And Pinchas, me, 2 months, he said he went to Ponyville to sit with me to prepare to the gymnasium. Second. He was very good-hearted. Good-hearted, more a divine person. Not selfish.
What is Nina's husband's name here is? I've met
Tori
him. Tori? The
Golom.
surname Goldman.
Golom.
Golom. So you say his surname was Golom there.
Yeah. Yes,
And
Golom.
here it is?
Here is
Tori.
Tori.
One moment, I shall find.
Yes.
What are you looking
at? You know.
I
And he could send, then his wife is sent to, he will save me.
I knew that he saved Nina and Shulamit.
Yes,
Yeah.
Shulamit was given.
Now, what was his position, did you say? He was explaining.
Instead of saving his wife.
He was secretary of the union, of
Yeah,
the,
of
of the
very pretty.
Jewish representatives of the ghetto. There was a board of representatives of the ghetto. There was
His wife, he saved.
So it was good for Nina,
Mhm.
Not it was good for Nina, but not so good for his wife.
Well, yeah, the family, they are enemies. Okay.
Who are enemies?
The family of his wife, yes. You can believe it. But tonight,
Dr. Alex was the head of the ghetto, and there was a committee of the ghetto, the representative, and he was the secretary of the committee of the ghetto.
And how was it that he was able to save Nina?
He had connections with the Lithuanians. He was, he graduated a lawyer in Lithuania, in Kovno, and he worked for a famous advocate there. He had connections with the,
and he was in the company from young, I think.
He worked with them.
Not was, he was a friend.
I see.
And he put the heart in all the time. Here it was on an occasion.
it is, they had bitter times, bitter experience.
But I think they forget it. They live quite.
You say they forget it. What do you mean that they live a normal sort of family life?
No, yes, no.
For Shulamit, I get the feeling that Shulamit lives a very busy and fruitful life, and
Yes.
she seems to have a very lovely husband, Sweet.
The husband is also.
As child, she should pray in the synagogue, and
She was hidden
she was hidden
by God.
as a Lithuanian girl.
As a Lithuanian girl.
Yes.
So what, you mean that she was with other parents officially, or what?
No, officially her parents were I can't tell you exactly, but as I know, they adopted her as their daughter. They said that she is their daughter. And she had enough brain to admit it as a child, as a little child, and to go to the synagogue with them, to pray and to behave herself as a Christian girl.
To the synagogue or to the church? You mean?
To the church.
Yes. So she went to church as though she was not Jewish. Yeah. Gosh. Well, how about we...
Training. And we heard that Valdemaras had got the
The recording of Rubin ended at this point.